Hi, Tom Terrence from Taxi Business Advice with you here, and in this video I want to talk to you about 3 steps to having your taxi business make money on autopilot, and discussing in general, is that even possible and why it's possible. Because let's be honest, why are you watching this video right now? And most likely you're watching this video right now and you're interested in the subject because you are just like many of thousands of other taxi business owners from all around the world whom I've helped over the years. And so here is one of the letters from one of such taxi business owners. I believe that I really need to get out of this business. I think about it every day. I don't feel that I have the skills to manage people effectively, and frankly I do not want to invest any of my time and money to get there. I'm totally burnt out and I think I've reached my limits. Financially my business is doing well and I'd like to see someone to take over who can really skillfully build it to be a better major taxi company in my town. It has this potential easy. So if this letter resonates with you, then definitely watch this video to the end, because I will give you some pointers and some helpful steps how to get away from this and get to a business that's actually working on autopilot. And so what results do my clients get? Here are some of the letters from people who have actually worked with me. I don't actually have a full 12 months yet, so hard to tell accurately, but if business keeps growing the way it is, when we get to month number 10, slower months when it gets warmer, we could hit the best revenue this year this company ever did. So, and this was from JP from Canada. Here is another one. Since purchasing the hiring cabs, the hiring system, I have gone from 3 cabs, 5 drivers, 1 dispatcher, to having 5 cabs, 15 drivers, general manager, assistant manager, and enough dispatchers to cover all of our business shifts. So all of this means a very simple thing. When you do the right things, growth is possible, automation is possible, systematization is possible, and putting your taxi company running on autopilot so that you do not have to be there all the time is also possible. So let me now tell you a little bit about who I am and how I'm able to help my clients get such amazing results. And I've been in the taxi industry for over 11 years now. I drove a taxi all the way through college, and when I graduated from university I realized that I loved the taxi business and I wanted to stay in it. And yet when I was looking at it, when I was looking around and seeing how taxi companies were managed, run, what kind of people worked at them, at taxi business owners themselves, how frustrated they were, how they were showing up at the office at 5 in the morning and staying there for an entire day, or calling the office 12 times a day, because if they weren't, then everything would just fall apart at that taxi company. I was realizing that it did not make a lot of sense, and so I've decided to figure it out, because I knew that there had to be a better way to run and manage a taxi business, and I wanted to figure out a way to run a taxi business where the taxi business owner is successful, the business is making good money, and attracts customers who actually appreciate quality service and are not just some scumbags who want a lower fare. And I'm sure if you've been in our business enough, you know the kind of customers that I'm talking about. And so I went on a mission and I got together with some of the brightest minds in the taxi industry. And I have also studied some of the most well-known marketing gurus in the world. And so I applied all of their discoveries and created a system that can transform a taxi business into a money-making machine. And by now, I'm not just saying that I've helped over 10,000 taxi business owners from around the world, not from only Canada and United States, but also countries like South Africa, Russia, Malta, Malaysia, and so on and so forth. I wrote a book, I write and publish a newsletter, and I have products that help taxi business owners with pretty much all areas in the taxi business. And here you can see me holding my book. It's a paper, it's a real paper and ink book. It's not some downloadable PDF file. Here you can see my Taxi Profits Inner Circle letter and some of the Taxi Profits Inner Circle CDs. And again, all this stuff is real paper, physical CDs and DVDs. It's not just some downloadable stuff that disappears on your computer somewhere. It's paper and ink. It's physical CDs, it's physical books, so that you can actually build a reference library that has solutions to all of your business problems. So let's now get back to talking about taxi business making money on autopilot, and let's first talk about, is it possible? So because if you now have a taxi company where you're used to doing a ton of stuff by yourself, where you have to be there all the time or things will just fall apart, what I'm talking to you right now may seem like some fairy tale. So let's begin with talking in general about whether it's possible to have a business, any kind of business, making money on autopilot. And so if you look at people like Bill Gates, if you look at people like Larry Ellison, who own companies, who make money by owning companies, but who do not actually work there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you will see that having a business that makes money by itself is actually possible. And I'm not just talking about some big names on Forbes 400 lists. There are also hundreds, thousands of next-door millionaires all around you that live pretty much the same lifestyle. They have a business that's making money. Of course, it's making money on a smaller scale compared to Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, and then they just enjoy life. They spend some time in their business, working on their business, but they're not chained to their business. For example, one of my clients now got his wife and kids, and together they are traveling all around the United States by car. And he's sending me pictures from Blue Ridge Highway in Virginia that in the fall looks really, really, really amazing. You can go Google Blue Ridge Highway and see all the pictures. It looks really, really phenomenal. So now that we've agreed that it's possible, let's talk about what an autopilot is, because that is also pretty important. So when I myself think about an autopilot, I think about a plane. And Google actually agrees with me. Here are the images that I got when I typed into Google an autopilot. So what is an autopilot, generally speaking? And generally speaking, an autopilot is a system that controls a movement from point A to point B. And so if you look at rich people and ask yourself a question, why are they really rich? You will see that all of them have systems that make money for them. And so if you are not as successful as you'd like to be, why is this happening? This is happening because you have no systems. So if you take a look at this letter here that I talked about earlier, what is happening here? I feel that I don't feel that I have the skills to manage people effectively, and I do not want to invest any of my time and money. To get there, I am totally burnt out. It means that in this case, there is no system. So one of the things that you need to put your taxi business on autopilot is you need to have systems. So what is a system? And in general, let's think about, for example, baking cookies. A simple example. What do you do when you need to bake cookies? You buy ingredients, then you mix them up, you do whatever is needed to create dough and actually form cookies. Then you preheat the oven. Then you put cookies in the oven for X minutes, and then you take the cookies out. And so this is actually a simple example of a system. And so once you have a system, you can delegate it, you can outsource it, you can delegate the entire system, you can delegate parts of the system. There are plenty of ways to go about it so that you yourself do not have to do everything. And in your business, you kind of have rudimentary systems when you deal with drivers, when you deal with dispatchers, because they do a lot of stuff. But the problem is that nobody taught you how to really implement systems in your business, and that's why you are not as successful as you could be. Now let's get back to our definition of an autopilot. An autopilot, again, is a system that controls movement from point A to point B. And so, when we talked about the systems, we talked about what a system is, why affluent people are really affluent, and the reason is because they have systems. And so, how do you get from point A to point B? And here's the thing. To get from point A to point B, you need to know where point A is, and you need to where point B is. And all of this to say is that you need to get clarity. And clarity is actually about two things. Thing number one is where you are right now and what is going on with you. And thing number two is where are you going? And so the three things that are necessary to put your taxi business on autopilot are, number one, knowing exactly and being clear about where you are. Thing number two is knowing exactly and having some measurable goals as to where you are going. And number three is you need systems that will get you from point A, from where you are, to point B, to where you're going. And so only when you have these three things, you can put your taxi business on autopilot. And now I want to talk a little more about clarity. And what is clarity? And clarity is a choice. Clarity is not something that somebody is being born with. Clarity actually comes to you when you choose to be clear. And then when you choose to be clear, clarity is also work, meaning that you need to realize where you are, you need to do the work to figure out what is going on in your business, and clarity is also trial and error. And the reason why I'm saying this is that a lot of things that you think you want, you don't really want them. It's just marketers around us are so good, are becoming so much better and better and better at manipulating people that you have a lot of stuff in your head that you think you want, but you do not really want. So, for example, I myself always thought that I wanted to live in a fancy high-rise building in Manhattan. And I thought that I wanted to live all about the world, on top of the world, and I wanted to have this absolutely fabulous view. And so last year I got myself an apartment that was on the 32nd floor, and that had absolutely amazing panoramic views of Manhattan. And the views were absolutely spectacular, and I really, really loved them. But what happened next is that I work from home, and so I have my home office, and I like to take short breaks. And when I'm taking my breaks, I like to get out of my apartment, I like to go for a short walk, I like to watch people, I like to breathe fresh air. That really rejuvenates me, energizes me, so that then I can go back to my home office and I can keep doing the work. And so what it turned out is that getting onto that 32nd floor was taking me between 5 and 10 minutes one way. and during a rush hour in the between say 5 and 7 p.m. at night, when everybody's coming from work, it was somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And so what I've realized is that I quickly got used to the view, and then and very quickly it stopped being all that impressive. Well, it's a view and it's a view, but getting home and getting out of my apartment did not go anywhere and was taking a lot of my time. And I started thinking, well, what if I were working, 20 more minutes a day, half an hour more a day, an hour more a day? And I have a lot of clients, and my time is very, very valuable. And so what I've realized is that my ideal scenario is where I live on fourth or fifth floor, so not on the ground floor, but at the same time not too high, but so that whenever I need to get out of my apartment, I can easily get out of my apartment. So that's and so now I am being clear about what I want, and I know for sure where I want to live. And so I am now very clear. And so that's what I mean when I say that clarity is a lot of trial and error. So you gotta go, you gotta try things, and you gotta see if those things work for you. And I can absolutely guarantee you that some of the things that you think you want, you don't really want. And it doesn't mean that you don't want anything, it just means that you want something different. And sometimes finding that different stuff takes some trial, takes some error, takes some time. And so that's what clarity is about. Again, it's a choice that you got to do some work about, and then you got to try and you got to experience things. And so here are some of the questions that I'd like you to think about that should help you getting started on this path. So question number 1 is, what are your current measurable objectives? Question number 2 is, what's working and what's not working currently in your taxi business? And question number 3 is, where are you spending time in your taxi business that you should not be spending any time on? And so this is very, very important before figuring out how to get from point A to point B. Because here's my experience in dealing with thousands of taxi business owners all around the world. Most prospects, when they come to me and they want to work with me, they're absolutely clueless about where they want to go. And so here's an example of a recent dialogue. A client comes to me and says, well, can you help me? And I ask him, well, what do you want? What goals do you have in your business? What do you need help with? What do you want me to help you with? And these are some of questions that you also need to think about, and it is my experience that most taxi business owners cannot answer that. And so here's what happens in the majority of cases with my prospective clients. I send them a questionnaire and I ask them to fill it out. And most people never fill it out, which is a sign for me, because if a person cannot spend 15 minutes, half an hour to fill out a questionnaire, and they come to me, they say they want to work together, are we really suited for each other? Will we be actually able to work together if they cannot find half an hour to fill out a questionnaire? And so, but let's talk about why they cannot fill a questionnaire. And the reason why they cannot fill out a questionnaire, why they do not do it, is because they are busy. But if you take a look at what they're busy with, you'll see that they are busy with fake work. And that's why they come to me in those rare moments when they have awareness about what's going on, when they get clear for a few seconds that they are busy with fake work. So what is fake work? Imagine yourself driving on a highway in a certain direction. And then you realize that you're hungry and you're getting tired, and so you need some food and you need some coffee. And so the weather is really muggy, the weather is really foggy, you get off the highway at an exit, you get to a food station, you get some food, you get some coffee, and so food gets into your stomach, And so you start feeling even more sleepy, but then you kind of wake yourself up with coffee, and you get into the car, and you get on the highway, and you start driving. And you drive, and in about an hour you realize that after you get on the highway, after making that pit stop, you actually started driving in the wrong direction. And so that is fake work. What is fake work? Fake work is when you're still actually doing the work. So when you were driving on the highway in the opposite direction, you were driving. You were not resting at a station, you were not hanging out, you were actually driving, you were still actually working. You also spent the time, and the time that you spent driving in the opposite direction was also real. But what was not real is accomplishment, because you did not accomplish anything, and not only didn't you accomplish anything, you were also moving in actually the opposite direction. So if you were driving in a wrong direction for an hour, it would take you an hour to just get back to the point where you have started driving in that wrong direction. However, if you think about it, what's the smartest thing to do once you realize that you were driving in the wrong direction? And there's only one smart thing to do, is to turn around and start going in the direction that you wanted to be going. And what I want you to do now is to think about this concept as it relates to your business and all the things that are happening in your business when you're doing fake work, and about all those moments when you do realize that you're doing fake work. And here's an example of a comment that I recently got on my website. And this comment is to my video about websites, where I explain what a taxi website should look like, what should it do, and how it should do it. Here's what Joseph Carosa wrote. I did a big mistake. I paid all these dollars for my current website. So what happened here? He came to my website, he watched a video about websites, he realizes now that his current website is a piece of junk. What's the smartest thing to do here? The smartest thing to do here is the same thing that was the smartest thing to do when you were on the highway driving in the opposite direction. The smart thing is to turn around and go in the right direction as quickly as possible. So the thing here is to get a good website that will do whatever it needs to do, whatever it can do for your taxi company. And by the way, websites is something I help taxi business owners with. So the $1 million question here is, do you think he turned around and started going in the right direction? And I can tell you right away that the answer is, of course not. He's now really upset about having the bad website, about all the money that he spent on the bad website, and what do I do? And this quite often, and not just only for him, results in people not doing anything, and which is not the right thing to do. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. That's what I wanted to tell you when it comes to 3 steps about putting your taxi business on autopilot. And to finish this video, I want you to think about a few more questions, few more things. So one of them is, how are you spending your time? Are you guilty of fake work? And are you going in the wrong direction because you've been driving it for so long that you just cannot stop driving, and you realize that you're not going where you want to be going, but since you've been going for so long, you just keep going because that's all what you're used to. Because if you are, and if you realize that you have been, then what you need to do is stop and turn around. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about in this video. If you'd like to get future videos, then enter your information in the form below, and make sure to be checking your email in the next few days. It was Tom Terrence from taxybusinessadvice.com, and I'll see you in the future videos.